Hello, everyone, and welcome back to True Sight, the Dota podcast. This is episode number 3. It's December. It's September 11th, 2014. This is being presented to you by FountainDive.com. FountainDive.com. Go there right now. It's the sister site to the popular Hearthstone site, iHearthU.com. You can catch all sorts of awesome Dota content. They just released a Tinker Hero Guide. There's also a nice article write-up about the item win rate and win expectancy statistics in Pro Dota 2 that was done by our local statsman, Nahaz. Also, going to be brought to you forward by HighGround.TV, where right now you can catch us casting the Dota 2 Canada Cup going on right now all week long. Are the group stages. In fact, we'll be casting some more Canada Cup action right after the podcast this evening. And you can catch all that action over on twitch.tv/Dota2 Canada Cup. And without much further ado, let's go ahead and hop into some introductions. I'm going to be your host and your local mana giver, of course. I'm Dakota, KOTLGuy, but joining me, my usual duo. Let's start off first, the swimming phenom and shirtless Dota 2 model, Mr. Travis Maut. Muy bueno. How you doing, sir? Thanks for coming back.
I'm doing good. You know, can't complain. It's been a long week, a lot of casting, a lot of exciting tournaments going on. Obviously, we'll talk about that a bit more, but I don't really think I'm a model, but I appreciate it nonetheless, Dakota. So,
Maut, congratulations on your recent sub button on twitch.tv. Am I right, my man? Do you have any ideas on what your first emoticon might be? Is it going to be a nip?
That's what everyone wants, but I don't know if I'm going to get away with that. So we'll see.
People want nips.
They do.
If you want the nips, you got to tweet at him and let him know.
Yeah.
Pressure him into doing it. Our next guest, look out for his recent underground DVD release of the scantily clad Gergs Gone Wild, team mascot and ESL 1 qualifier captain, the Gerg Squad, Mr. Greg. WhatIsHip TV. Greg, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Busy day and Dota all the time this week, so can't complain.
That hard life of Dota and esports. All right. Well, today, everyone, we have a 2-for-1 special as far as guests are going to go. But our first guest, our special guest, began his esports career with Heroes of Newerth, where he played with many teams, including SGTY and Complexity. Near the back end of 2013, he made his transition into Dota 2, and like many others, playing for teams like Stay Free, the super strong Dinosaurs, until finally finding a home with some familiar faces and Team Sad Boys, then getting picked up by EG and having such great success as their third-place finish at the International 4 and recent win at WEC. EG's captain, Brainiac, and competitive Sims 4 player, Mr. PPD. Peter, how's it going, man? Thanks for coming on the show. This is where you say, thanks for having me. A pleasure, as always.
Always
nice
muted,
to be here.
dude.
Oh, you're
Peter,
muted.
You're muted.
Oh, I'm muted, huh?
Rip.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for having me. I just finished 5 games of ARDM low priority, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Nice.
So, yeah. Finish that up. So
he's been real busy getting in a little bit of co-casting here and there, his own personal competitive tournament play, and also finding time to stream, and then also a small window to just join us here today. So can't thank you enough, man, for coming in and on a late notice as well. So later on, though, in the show, when Peter has to step out, we are going to have his own manager, EG's manager, Charlie Yang, is going to jump in and join us, and he's very familiar, of course, with the whole podcast talk show scene, so it'll be fun having him.
Yeah. He's actually the master, just saying no comment. And then
yeah, so we'll try our best to get him to talk, but that could be like pulling teeth, so we'll see how it goes. We'll go ahead and I guess since we have Peter here and we're not only going to have him for a short period of time, we could just do a mini Q&A session right now between us here and maybe get some of those questions on that have people been tweeting at us and also on the Reddit thread. If you haven't already, you could still do it now. If you have any questions for us and for Charlie later in the show, we'll get to those at the back end. But for now, I want to start things off. I'm also a player who has made his way through the Dota 1 bracket, going through Heroes of Newerth, and then coming into Dota 2. And Peter, you've probably been asked this before, but I'm actually personally curious. Coming from Heroes of Newerth, is there anything you actually really miss from the game? Or maybe is there anything you just kind of wish would be ported over into Dota 2 and you'd like to take advantage of?
Yeah, I've forgotten a lot about the game since I stopped playing. It's been a while, but the main thing that I miss is some of the heroes that they had in Han, like some of the new S2 heroes. Like there's pretty cool ones. My favorite one was probably Gauntlet. I just really like he was like another he was kind of like another Pudge. He was like another Devour. He could hook people. That was always
good
fun.
skill shot. He could be very flashy as well.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. I like Electrician as well. I thought Electrician was pretty original.
He was cool too.
Yeah, this guy with early tank, great ganking potential, an insane long disable though right at the start with his grip, and then of course a nice purge that you can even upgrade with your I can't remember what they call it anymore, like an Agnums. So yeah, I agree with that. It's a more fast-paced game, but I've found a new home with Dota 2, and there's always those little things you'll miss from time to time. I'll throw it over. Greg Mott, do you want to take advantage of having Peter here in front of you? Anything you want to ask?
Well, we have a couple questions from the Reddit thread. I want to get a couple of those in here. So
let's do
we've got one from Wolol, and it's questions for PPD. And it's, with every carry building Maelstrom, do you think the item needs another nerf? And if it does, how would you change it?
I'm not like a big fan of like balance questions, but I think that the item is, it's really strong and it's really nice to get some magic damage in your lineup. But I don't know, like maybe if there was more heroes that built pipe or purchased cloaks, then Maelstrom wouldn't be as good. But like right now, nobody ever buys those items, so the lightning damage is pretty strong throughout the entire game.
That's actually a good point. Do you feel that not enough people build cloaks just casually in games, or is it just kind of a situational type thing?
I don't think so. I think like there's not enough room for your item slot to have just like a casual cloak. Like that one like extra item space you have is usually for like a TP or a magic wand, which is like almost always better. Yeah, I think the casual cloak has a place in some games versus maybe like a Venomancer or a Zeus or a Tinker with E-Blade Dagon, but for the most part, not. I don't think you should really buy it.
Okay. Well, I actually have a question along the lines of more so. Trout actually wrote a blog about the current state of NA Dota and just kind of the lack of teams, and I think right now I want to ask. And I know a lot of other teams like Navi US are just saying they want to scrim the best teams, and that often is obviously the teams that are in the West and Europe, like obviously Alliance, maybe Navi, maybe Team Tinker, all those teams. Are there any other teams that are up and coming now that you guys as EG would scrim that are North American, or is it strictly just those big names that we've heard from in the past?
I think for right now, the only team we would probably scrim in the US is Navi US. But that being said, we're not really looking to scrim very much at the moment. We kind of told ourselves that we wouldn't practice as much because we would just play our online matches and just practice things like individually. Like we don't think scrimming is like too helpful for us at the moment. But yeah, it is kind of a shame that there's not many U.S. teams because we always want to play against Europeans as well, but we can't really play on Luxembourg because of the West Coast players' pings. So we have to ask the Europeans to play on East, and then they complain. So it's a pretty complicated situation.
Sometimes that seems a bit unfair, though, because playing from East to Luxembourg isn't all that bad. I'd say it's doable. So I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, but our tour is from West. West is pretty bad.
But like everyone playing on East, though.
Yeah, it's okay. But like when you get like a couple like for Team Secret, they have Fly from Israel. Like that ping's really bad.
Yeah.
And then all like the Russian teams, like their ping is really bad. But we play like Alliance on East and Team Tinker on East. But that being said, there's not that many teams. Like there's really not even that many Western teams. I feel like there's way less than last year.
Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on the like? I know that you guys sort of talked about this a decent amount, but why you don't think scrims are as valuable? Because there's a lot of teams that sort of favor them and like scrimming, or maybe not like scrimming, but do scrim quite a bit. So what are you guys, what aren't you gaining from scrimming that you decided to sort of stop doing it?
Well, I think we could gain a lot from scrimming, but I think the issue is that people don't pretend like scrims are actual matches, so they play differently. They don't take it as seriously, and then when you have like one player who doesn't take it as seriously, then it kind of ruins it for everyone else. So we figured we'd just save ourselves some drama and just scrim before major tournaments, but just keep playing Dota is the most important thing, whether it's pubs or NEL or just make sure you keep playing Dota and just stay fresh and keep thinking of new ideas for drafting wise and strategy.
When you say teams aren't taking it seriously, is it teams just don't really care, or are they like trying out new drafts and new experimental things that are just a waste of time for some teams who actually want to drill some of the standards?
It's a little bit of both. Like there's a lot of creativity that comes out, and oftentimes creativity is met, pretty poorly. Like it just doesn't work a lot of the time. But then again, like people, they just make plays that they wouldn't make in a match, or they commit to kills that they wouldn't commit to in a real match. So it's kind of unrealistic to if I had to explain it that way.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. So,
any other questions we want to be able to take advantage of from the public right now before we move on to our standard go through right now?
Yeah, I've got another question. It's not from the public, but boot camping. I know you guys obviously had a really long I don't even know if I'd call it boot camp, but a long time together as a team. Are there pluses and minuses for that? I mean, it seems like you guys did okay. A lot of times when teams spend that much time together, they just explode immediately afterward. I was just wondering what your opinion is on things like boot camps and before really huge tournaments like the international.
Sure. I think boot camp is pretty helpful as long as you can stay focused. We're pretty fortunate that the boot camp was during TI was during the summer, because we had our tour and Zai still in school in the spring. So luckily we were able to actually do it this year because they were out of school for the summer. But for major tournaments coming up, we wouldn't really be able to do it because Zai is still in high school or secondary school, or whatever you want to call it. But I do think it is really helpful, but you have to have a certain level of focus. We found when we were boot camping, we had some unsuccessful boot camps, because we had 3 or 4 different boot camps during this whole thing, and we had some successful ones and some unsuccessful ones. And what I found, what really works is if you come into the day with a plan. We had a couple, our best boot camp was when we were in Sweden and Stockholm before ESL, and every day we came in with a plan. So one day we said, hey, we're just going to first 2 Naga and just work on, carry Naga for the entire day. And the next day was Tiny Wisp. And then the day before that was push strategies and stuff like that. So if you have a general plan and you know what you want to pick, it's a lot better practice overall.
That's actually really cool. I when I think about teams boot camping and kind of just focusing, I feel like a lot of them, or at least I guess the public thinks that maybe they're just playing a lot of scrims. That's all they're doing before, they get into these major tournaments. I think DK obviously was a team that focused on different things as well. So it's always cool to see that you guys are focusing on specific areas of expertise, and I think that's really nifty. So I actually have a question here from Grant, the one and only Grant, if you will. He says, who would you consider your biggest rival all time in Han or Dota 2?
Oh,
The one you see any other team and you're just God, I gotta go against them again. Jesus.
Or is there anyone you particularly like beating? That might be
or
an
it brings
easier
you
question to
joy
answer.
to beat the hell out of them.
I would say for a rival, probably just the whole team of C9. We play against them a lot and we practice against them a lot. And it's been almost a year of us, our 2 teams being pretty much the same rosters. So that's a good rival, I think.
So feel pretty good these past couple of days then. Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general we've been better than them for the most part, but it's still very competitive, to say the least. The matches between us, both teams really want to win, so there's a lot of a lot on the line, bragging rights pretty much. Every other team is, of course you want to win, but it's kind of they're just trying to win and you're just trying to win, and you understand that from 2 professional team standpoints. It's the best team that day is going to win and move on in the tournament, and it's as simple as that. But with C9, there's a little bit more on the line, and a little bit of trash talk goes on out of the game.
How do you feel now that they've added Fata to the roster? Do you think they're stronger? Do you think they're more competitive?
I generally don't like to say whether a roster is stronger or not after a roster change, because they just haven't had the time to settle into it, I think. They played incredibly well at WC, and they got second, which I was surprised they even made it that far, to be honest. So that being said, I think they played very well there. But they're just a different team with Fata rather than Sing Sing. Fata plays a lot more mid heroes than Sing Sing did, and he plays a lot more utility. I think Sing played like Podum and Invoker and Meepo. So they don't have a Meepo player anymore, I don't think. So that's something they have to drop out of their arsenal. But yeah, it's just different. But I think Fata is really, really good. And I got to talk to him at Envy on the last day. We were on the same shuttle bus on the way home from the way to the airport, and he had a really good attitude about the whole thing. And he was very, even though they lost, he was still very pleased with their performance, and he was looking forward to getting back home and practicing and improving, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, this is just perspective from outside, but it seems like the way he plays is much more sort of like team-oriented. I mean, he builds mech on like every single hero, so it brings a little bit of a different dynamic, I guess, to Cloud9. So I'm interested to see how it goes, but I think they did play well at WEC. So
yeah. And if you don't mind, gentlemen, I think that's a perfect transition. We'll just hop from the questions right now and go into the first item on the Dota docket, and I was going to be talking about some of the recent tournament info and updates, and nothing better than starting off with WEC. I mean, there's been a bit that's happened since our last week's show. Obviously, Titans visas were denied, and they ended up being replaced by VG, the power squad, with Black and Ice Ice Ice. But now everything is resolved and finished up. It was an EG Cloud9 final there at the end. Cloud9 had skimmed their way all the way through the winners or upper bracket to get there. But it was EG, after getting knocked down early, fighting their way undefeated all the way through, something like 10 straight wins to get into that final, where they went head-to-head with Cloud9 in back-to-back best-of-threes, because they ran a new system, for people who didn't know, where the winning team came in with the one best-of-3 advantage, so they only had to win one, while the losing team needed to win the first best-of-3 just to reset, and then win the next one, which... You know, obviously, spoiler alert, if you didn't already hear, they managed to take down Cloud9 2-1 in the first best-of-3, and then 2-0 in the second. They managed to walk away with about $90,000 and had a extremely impressive run. And the first NA team, I would believe, that won WEC. So, mad props to you and your team for that. But I want to start off with a question. I said it briefly there. They kind of did a new setup as far as how the tournament ran, especially there at the end. Peter, any thoughts on that? Did you like that? Did you like the whole reset of with the best of 3 and having to play the second one? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it was just a better overall. Like it was like a more fair advantage, I think, for the winner bracket team. Like a lot of time they do like a best of 5 with 1 game advantage, or even some tournaments don't do it. They just do no advantage at all, which I really don't like. That being said, I think the 2 best of 3s is, it simulates how the tournament was actually supposed to be. Like the winning bracket team, they're supposed to lose 2 best of 3s for them to get eliminated. Best of 5 with 1 game advantage seems almost too short. Like the winning team just has to win 2 games, and the other team has to win 3. I feel like it's still not really that fair for the winner bracket team, because they hadn't lost a best of 3. So I think it kind of ruins. I guess it's still kind of hype though, because it's not like a best of 5 where the winning team goes up like 2-0 and then it's just over. So it's like 2 separate series. It didn't go to game 3 in the last set, but I don't know. I think it was okay.
I can see what you mean as far as it creates like a lot of hype and a big story. This is the same kind of bracket run I see in the fighting game community, especially the back end of EVOs, where they're battling their way through, and they win through the first best of 5. They manage to reset, and then everyone just gets really into it, like, holy moly, he actually could do it. And I think it creates for a great storyline. It's a new added flair. I think it works okay, but I can see what you're saying as far as the winning team didn't really lose anything along the whole way, and now they lose at the end and they're done. So, I mean, we'll see, but I would say that Go ahead.
Was it exciting to watch? Like, did you guys watch it live or anything? Or
I didn't get to watch it live, but I did yesterday watch through pretty much all of the VODs, and it was extremely impressive. And actually, one of the next questions I wanted to ask you, it's clear that you guys it seemed like you were prepared for the meta and what to expect, because like every time a Death Prophet was picked up, you immediately fired back with something like a Sven. Now, is that something you were ready to go into? Did you just know that you wanted to do like heavy armor and heavy burst to that Death Prophet? Are you feel comfortable revealing this kind of information right now?
No, that's totally fine. It's actually something we didn't get to practice before we left. We wanted to practice on the last day, but I don't think we realized that Zai actually left a day early, so we didn't get to practice on the last day before we left. Mm-hmm. And it was actually something that Tralf was doing against me in NEL. I would first pick Death Prophet, and he would take like Sven Dazzle, and they would have all this armor, and then my Death Prophet was just totally useless, and Sven was just hitting like a truck, and we had like no disables, and I don't know, it was rough. So Fear was really confident on Sven. He's been telling me for a while that he thinks Sven is really good. So we decided, hey, if we're gonna win this tournament, we got to beat the best heroes, and we just gave Death Prophet away, and we kind of theory crafted a way to beat it, and it worked. So that was nice.
Along those lines too, well, first of all, the fact that Fear goes back on his Sven is awesome to watch anytime we get to see that. But secondly, I think you guys were the only team to maybe pick like a Jakiro in a core role, and obviously Universe on the Darkseer, which we all love seeing. So I think along those lines, you were definitely ready. And on top of that as well, you have the ability to, you've talked about also sending Zai into the core role and maybe just switching the roles around. How important do you think that is currently? And, is that something you're going to look to do in the future as well, and expand on that with maybe other players as well, not just Zai?
Yeah, it's definitely something I like to do. And there's a lot of kind of core or offlane heroes that can be supports as well, which makes things a little bit tricky for the opponent to predict, which I really, really like. You can also get away with like farming support heroes like Venomancer and Tidehunter and Sand King as well. Like those guys can easily just go lane and farm, which I think is really cool. Like when I think you talked about, did you ask about like us playing like a lot of different heroes?
Well,
I don't know.
What it seems like is you will start a draft out and you'll pick your standards, but it becomes more difficult for your opponents to like who's going to be playing what. Like you'll grab a Jakiro and like, oh, this will probably be a PPD, or support Jakiro, and then next thing you know, Universe is taking it, and it's like, do you look for that in your team to be able to be so ambidextrous? It's like, okay, we all need to be running our Jakiros, we all need to be running our Svens, so that if we do need to make an audible like that, you'll feel comfortable playing that kind of a role.
Yeah, definitely. I like after TI and we picked up Fear, I talked and I expressed to my team that I want everybody to be able to play every lane and as many heroes as possible. And a couple times, like we put Panda on Zai in one of the games. That being said, Fear can play Panda as well. So can Universe. It just so happens that we wanted it to go this way, and we wanted Zai to play for like that game. We're still kind of like, that being said, we're still trying to define the roles. Like we're saying, should Fear be playing Panda or should Zai be playing Panda? Or Zai plays also, he played like Pugna and Scrims and stuff like that, like different kind of heroes. And then we put Fear onto support. And I think we're going to keep trying to develop that. Like I think Fear only played support Rasta at the tournament. So maybe we're going to try and work in a couple other support heroes for him. That way we can just, keep mixing things up. The last night actually at the turn after we won, we went back to the hotel and we were hanging out, like getting dinner. And we actually were like comparing each other. We were saying, hey, who played the most heroes? And I think every player on our team, I think we had like 15 matches total. I think everybody played 9 to 10 different heroes. And I think Zai played like 11 or 12 different heroes.
Jeez.
Wow. So that was pretty fun to like, we were just like battling over who played the most
even to
heroes.
compete in your own team with that just shows that they might want to like stretch their wings in Dota just a little bit further to play more heroes, and that's something that your opponents are never going to be able to predict. And it might be just like the new element that a lot of teams should strive for. It's just not being so predictable. We only get to see Super Razor mid lane so many times, and we had been seeing Universe offlane Void every game. So or, your Bulldog, Nature's Prophet, we want it to be more unpredictable. So it's just nice to know that you could draft something like that on the fly and make it work so well. But with that said now, and I know Greg could probably agree with me on this one, there's still yet some heroes that you're trying to throw in there. There's Zai Meepo. You were saying something about maybe a Pudge that Fear might take. What's that all about?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of cool heroes that I think are really good. They haven't been able to work in. We actually picked Universe Undying one game, and somehow we won. That game was looking like it was going really poorly, but it just turned around somehow. But yeah, there's like Arteezy that like wants to play Kunkka. There's the Sven. There's the Fear Pudge, Zai Meepo. Like there's a lot of heroes that we think are really cool. We haven't even experimented with like Invoker either. So there's so much room for creativity in Dota, and that's what makes it so exciting. And Core Lina as well. That's a thing.
Wow.
Jeez.
Like right click, you go like.
You go like Treads, Blink, Yules, and then you get like a Deso or something.
Shit, that sounds fucking fun.
Yeah.
I'm bored.
It was Fear really likes it. He thinks it's like broken. But
all right, I have a couple other questions. So you mentioned Tralf. I know that he was your analyst or coach, or I guess not coach, analyst at TI.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what sort of role? This is something that we saw a lot at TI, was sort of like a bigger support staff around these teams. Do you think that has a role in the future? Was it helpful? I'm just kind of curious on like your opinion on that sort of thing.
So I was one of the people on my team that was really hesitant about the whole coaching idea and all this analyst stuff. Mm-hmm. Mostly because like, I mean, it's a lot of money, and if you're giving up, like, especially say if you're giving up a percentage of your winnings, like. Mm-hmm. Even like 1% is just ridiculous.
1% of $1 million is
exactly like it's insane. Yeah. Like, but you got to think about it. If all of that extra outside help helps you increase your placement by even one position, it's worth it. Like you're gonna make more money because of it. So that was kind of the attitude I had about it for TI. That being said, I don't think we're gonna have a coach for this year. I don't think anyone's really up for that. Maybe when it gets closer to TI, if we think we need it, then we'll consider it. But having an analyst like Tralf, I think he worked with Hilger, and they made like a website where it like compared a lot of the teams and it showed all like the times that they banned these heroes and how many times they picked these heroes. So I wasn't able to watch all of the teams' matches during the group stage, but I was able to go look at this website, and it showed me whether they were picking Panda or whether they were just banning it every single game, or how many times they picked Doom. And you can kind of see preferences and patterns that can help you out if you're not able to analyze a team fully.
Okay, and then my other question is a little more general, but a lot of people when they go to China, I know notably like everyone from C9, they seem to like really hate it. So I was just curious, like, how was your experience in China? Did you like it? I know that some people really hate traveling and some people kind of like it.
Well, I'm pretty biased because we won. Which is very helpful.
Best trip ever.
Yeah, no, it wasn't too bad. But China was interesting. I've never been to Asia before, but we told each other that we were gonna do China at least once before 2015. There was like 3 opportunities, I think: I-League, WEC, and then WCA. So we went to WEC, and we're not gonna go to the other 2. And but China overall, it actually wasn't even that bad. Traveling east to west, you don't really get that jet lagged, so we slept pretty well. And the big problem was the food. I think it was really hard for us to find like good places to get food, and we ended up just eating like Chinese KFC every single day for like lunch and like kind of dinner. Like I didn't eat that much, but the hotel breakfast was just fine. It was good. It was like an American breakfast for the most part, and then. The lunch at like KFC was so bad. Wow. It was really bad, and
it's hard to do Kentucky Fried Chicken without Kentucky. So
yeah. the driving and the taxis was terrifying. Like
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, you think like driving's bad and like I don't know where, but the driving there was insane. Like everybody, we were just pulling in front of buses, and I couldn't look out the window. Like it was too much. But. Accident free.
But so overall, you liked it. I mean, I think that's the big complaint is for a lot of people is like the food. It's hard to find good food, and it's like easy to order and stuff.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Europe. Like the customer service is just miserable there. Like there's no like. When I came back to the U.S., I went to the airport restaurant with Envy, and we had this like this really nice waitress, and she was like super like she got everything we needed, and because she was working for a tip, and. You just don't have that in other countries, which I really, really miss.
I don't know.
I wanted to also, along those lines, what was the venue like? Because I heard some rumblings, maybe not so good. Personally, I looked in the stream, looked pretty well set up. So what did you think about the venue at WEC?
It was kind of disappointing how there wasn't that many people there. Like they had this like whole stadium, but then they kind of filled up like not very much. There was a lot of people there for the finals, I guess, but there was a lot of other games that were going on there. There was like Warcraft 3, Hearthstone, and StarCraft, and there was like nobody there to watch those games. Like Dota had a pretty good crowd, but the other games was just totally dead. And I mean, it was fine. Like the seating arrangements and the computers and the chairs, all of that was good. Like we felt really comfortable out there. We actually had to play our first match in like one of the back rooms, so it wasn't like on stage or anything, and that was awful. The back room was really bad because you had like really crappy chairs and even crappier tables, and on top of that, you were in a room with 30 other people on their computers who were like playing Hearthstone, playing StarCraft. We actually sat across from C9 while they were just like pubbing for our first match, and everyone was like super loud, and there was like casters on the side as well, and that was really bad. Like, it was really hard to focus in an environment like that. But luckily, we only played our first match there, and then we went on the stage and won everything. So,
were you disappointed you didn't get to do any sort of special promotional video with your team and read sorts of like epic dialogue, like "Don't underestimate me, or I'll put you into the abyss of eternal flame"? No.
I think I did a couple China interviews. I got the
Really?
they made me hold like a microphone with like a sponsor on it and say like, "Oh, I love Shang TV" or something.
But you don't.
That must be surreal.
I don't even know
Wow.
what it is. So
Like, I love it. Whatever it is.
I don't care.
Oh god, that's.
Then they
funny.
handed me like this briefcase full of like
Full of
$100,000.
fucking money.
Whatever.
Oh my god!
I was like,
texting
alright.
Charlie when he was
like,
going through customs, and he's like, "Oh, I hope I don't get fucking robbed." It's like,
Yeah,
With all the
Jesus.
juicy gossip we have to talk about later after you leave us about tournaments paying out, was it a nice feeling that this one just had all the money right there in front of you to like smell and just get it right up front?
It was different, but being in a foreign country, totally dependent on other people to get where I needed to go. I was a little concerned about the money. I didn't like the idea of
just carrying around 100.
Yeah, I made Charlie carry it because if somebody was gonna come for the money, I was just gonna leave Charlie.
Oh my. You guys are ruthless. Jesus.
I'm not about to die in China over some tournament winnings. So
Oh, fair enough.
Poor Charlie.
All right. With that said, guys, do you have any sort of last thoughts for PPD before we do send him on his way? He's a busy man with a lot on his plate to do. And
yeah, busy guy.
Not really. Thanks for coming on, and congrats, I guess.
Thanks.
PPD, before we let you go, no, sorry, Maut, don't mean
Shut
to
up, Maut.
step on your nips there if you want to.
Go for it. It's all you.
No, just if you have anything to say, any of your sponsors or shout outs to anyone before we cut you out.
No, it's okay. Maut, you go ahead, man.
I just want to say thanks so much for joining us, and I'm really excited for you guys because it's been a while since we have had a really good American team, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play well in the future. So good luck.
Are you gonna come to ESL?
I will be there, I believe, with Gurg as well. So we'll be there.
Nice. Yeah, that tournament should be fun. I'm really looking forward to going to New York. I've never
That's
been.
gonna be crazy.
You never been to New York?
Nope.
All right, you're going to be right in the middle of the city with all the tourists. It's going to be a hot, sweaty mess over here. So, looking forward to that one.
Hopefully, it won't be sweaty. It's October. I'll be fucking sad if it's sweaty.
New York weather, man. It's probably the most unpredictable thing you'll ever come across, though. Let me tell you what. But thanks a lot, Peter. Thanks for coming on short notice and giving us a bit of your time. What we're going to do here now is send it over to a small commercial break while we get Charlie into the mix, and we'll just quickly roll through the rest of the docket and all the Dota information we've been meaning to go over. But thank you so much, everyone. We'll come back in just a small bit. True Sight. Welcome back to True Sight, the Dota podcast. After a brief break and after PPD had joined us for our first part, we got Charlie Yang back for our second go-around. EG's manager, resident chat spammer, and our own Sunflower. Charlie, thanks for joining us. I know you were in a meeting there and had to quickly come out and partake. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm really glad to be back in the U.S. Sorry I held up the show, everyone. I had a meeting.
It's okay, man. Congratulations, though, to you and your team after the big win there at the WEC. We talked about it with PPD for a bit. How do you feel? Were you happy with how your team performed? Do you think they should have done anything better? Do you think everything just went according to plan?
I'm really happy how they.
We lost him. We lost him.
Oh, God.
The microphone.
Can't hear you too well at the moment, sir. Your audio seems to be a bit finicky. Are you there?
Yep. Is that better?
That's better.
Yes.
Why don't you try giving it another go, my friend?
I'm good.
You're
I think you're
good.
good.
I'm really happy with how they performed. Flexibility that they showed. Overall, it was a good event for them. It's probably not the greatest term to go to, but in terms of the performance, it's really good to see. I think some of the teams that they faced there are going to be a lot stronger later in the year, and we caught them at a weak point. But overall, I should have won stream. Obviously,
all right.
It's good.
So tell me, how much did you love China?
On a scale of 1 to 10, probably like a 2 or a 1.
So I know. So we asked Peter this, and this is not really an uncommon opinion about China. What didn't you like about it, on a general sense?
On a general sense, it's incredibly hot, super sticky. It's like a very muggy feel. Everybody smokes everywhere. I don't know. Somebody in chat's.
You talked about this before. I think it was on Mad too. When last you went to China before this, right? Like you've been there before. Okay.
I've been there before. I was born there. Generally, I do not enjoy going there. It's really hot. Everyone smokes. Kind of dirty. Food wasn't great. And
Oh, God.
We lost you again.
God, what's going on?
Do you got another mic, man?
I would advise you
I
take
think
a piece of that $90,000 and invest in some sort of decent headset when you have the opportunity. But
So, I can.
Oh, it sounds better now. You're good.
I'm literally not changing anything.
I don't know what to tell you, man. This is on your end, I think.
I'm literally not doing a thing. All right.
Sit really still.
I'm just gonna hold this position forever.
please do.
TLDR, like China. It's not a great place to be.
All right. Well, are there any positives of China? Like,
What were the pauses?
Yeah,
you were walking around.
any-
You were holding a lot of money. I mean, was that an interesting experience as well? Apparently, you were in charge of the briefcase.
That's a really shitty experience. I'm basically holding like $80,000 in Chinese money. Why would they give me a briefcase of cash?
Were you like hiding it like under your jacket, like walking around, like double checking to make sure no one's like following you right behind or anything?
Not really, but it was a little nerve wracking. Well, not really nerve wracking, but I was a little nervous going through customs. I mean, I spent a good while staring at the briefcase in my hotel, going, "What am I supposed to do with this?
how am I supposed to get this through customs? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Cocaine and hookers is usually some people's resolution to problems like that, but I'm glad you held through and got it.
Steered
I'm sure it
away.
made somewhat of the trip a little bit better, I
Oh,
suppose,
God.
but
I mean,
you know,
experience was kind of annoying. And I do want to say that the people working the tournament, I could tell they were trying really hard. So like they were, I feel like they were a little in over their head, but the people working were, I think, very well intentioned. There were some, I guess, logistical things that made organizing the tournament really hard. But they did put a lot of themselves into it. And while I think a lot of people didn't have the greatest experience, I appreciate it.
right, good to know. Well, we're glad to have you back on American soil, and I'm sure your team is looking forward to their next endeavor and tournament run, as they've been showing a lot of promise with Fear back into the mix, and they had some really nice drafts. But we're going to go ahead, gentlemen, and now that we do have Charlie here to just kind of give us his 2 cents, we need to start going through what's been happening this week in Dota, as we don't get caught up with too much bleedy blue. But next up, we just talked about WEC. We're going to roll on through here. The Game Show League, which is actually happening right now. It's more of the Russian squad, but it's going to be the 11th through the 13th of September, which has already started today, or like much early in the morning, I believe. It's the second final, land final rather, that's going to be happening this month. Those teams involved are going to be Navi, NVMI, Virtus Pro. Team Tinker were originally invited, but could not make it, and Team Empire were the directly invited teams. Moscow 5 and the Hellraisers were the teams that made it through the qualifiers. First 2 days are going to be a group stage at the Moscow Cyber Stadium, where the bottom 2 teams are going to be eliminated, and then on the final day, it's going to take place at DreamHack Moscow, with 4 teams facing off in a single elimination bracket, 2 semifinals into the grand final. So, Greg, do you guys have any predictions as far as what team's going to be coming out on top?
Why the hell is it called the Game Show League? What kind of a name is that?
I mean,
is that a studio or something?
Maybe. Who knows?
It's a Russian studio.
Greg.
Oh shit! No! Please, Charlie.
Now, I just need to make. Are you flaming name choices right now?
I'm sorry, Charlie.
What is Hip TV?
Would you like to continue down this?
No, never mind. It's a great name. I love it.
You're good. That's what I thought.
Why you gotta be like that, Charlie? Why?
I was texting about this earlier today and completely forgot about it. So I'm just gonna sit here. Maut, do you have any questions?
Questions?
Please get the attention off me.
Well, I mean, as far as this Game Show League, it's another one of those lands in that European, like the Eastern European region, that we're severely lacking on in terms of here in America. So when you see it, it's great. It's good for the European community. But can we just freaking get a LAN on American soil?
Country?
Like somewhere, anywhere. I don't care. It could be in the middle of freaking like Nevada. Like, well, obviously ESL1, yes.
Las Vegas.
But like
that's in
ESL1, yes. But like the amount of tournaments, like okay, great, we have ESL1, but like the amount of tournaments in comparison, like there's like 4 or 5 or 6 each year, like in like Eastern Europe, and we had the Summit last year, TI.
You had CS, D2L at CS.
Yeah, D2L, that's right. Yeah, but like D2L is the only real organization besides ESL now that ever really was interested in doing a LAN on American soil. So it's just like,
yeah, MLG pretty much just shit the bed, and
yeah, MLG too. I forgot about that, but
well, I mean, to be fair, was that their fault?
Okay, yeah, but it's not like they've been actively trying to like get back into Dota since then. I have a very low opinion of MLG.
That's just. I think that's their business. Is just that they
salt.
I mean,
me? I'm not salty.
It's you.
Why would he be salty?
Okay, well, never mind. I'm just not gonna say.
We're not gonna.
Charlie, no comment, Yang. It's happening.
This is why I dislike going on shows like this. It's because interesting things that I can say, I can't actually say.
Yeah,
I mean, things.
I mean, the teams. I mean, are you still talking about? Are you still talking about Anaheim? Or are you talking about the other things?
I don't know. We're talking about a lot of things.
There's a lot of things.
Well, Anaheim, the teams didn't want to go, and they tried to double the prize pool, and the teams still didn't want to go because it's so fucking far away from like all the other lands that were going on.
I understood it was also scheduling. There was a lot going on at once, and it would require people to travel pretty much all over the place, and no one wants to play when you're really working that hard just to get to one place to another. So, but I see where Maut's coming from. You're seeing a lot of these big land events, and they're all showcased. They got crowds. They're in the middle of like these luxurious hotels, and we get like the international. There's the Summit, which is kind of in their house, and D2CL, and that might just be like the Western scene as far as like North America and stuff. There's not enough backers and people really supporting it yet. That's not to say that it's not getting there. I mean, we're on the front page of New York Times. We got the event happening in Madison Square Garden. People might be there to watch, to observe, maybe start getting invested in it more. So we might see some opportunities. Wouldn't you agree that maybe eventually we'll probably see a lot more pop up?
I think we'll eventually see it. We're getting there now, and the fact of the matter is that it's just simply much more expensive to hold events on American soil. That's it. There's no use stripping each other off about it.
Yeah, fair enough. So, next event up that we're going to talk about here is one of the biggest events just outside the international course, Star Ladder. Their season 10. It's been happening, still going on right now. We've been invested a lot more in the Chinese division that's been happening right now. This has been going on since the 9th, and it's going to go on all the way through to the 24th of September. Reminding that it's 8-team group stage into top 4 double elimination bracket. 2 Chinese teams are going to be moving into those land finals. The teams that are in the mix are VG, LGD, LGD CDEC, Hyper Glory Team, or HGT, IG, there's a lot of letters, Tong Fu, or also known as the Old Boys, and LAI Gaming. This is a team I have yet to really look into. So, Maut, I know you've been casting a bit of the Star Ladder games, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been impressed with what you've seen thus far? Or the Chinese teams, we've had a lot of roster changes from them, and this is pretty much one of the bigger stages they've gotten to really flex those new muscles out. How have they been looking, man?
I'm excited to see LGD. I think they're strong. I still feel like they play that old style of Dota where they just farm for a while with Sylar. LGD CDEC is a team that, and I've talked to a lot of, I talked to Theben and Brax about it, and they specifically were like, LGD CDEC is a team that many people think is just maybe a tier below everyone else, but they've beaten top tier teams before. And then you've got VG Gaming, who is, they looked pretty good for a bit, and they've made it pretty far in WEC. So I'm excited for them. I don't know, though. They could maybe, it's just like 50-50. They could play well one day and then maybe pretty terribly the next. And then finally for newbie, Rabbit's one of the most, I think, proficient offlaners in terms of just pure skill. And I'm excited to see what he can bring to that team and that squad. So that's my take on the Chinese teams. Also, LAI, I believe, is okay. No, never mind. I thought LA was something different, but it turns out that's never
so.
Mind.
Of all those Eastern teams that you've already gotten to see firsthand, which one right now would you say is going to be the scariest right now?
I think probably newbie.
Newbie.
I honestly think that. I mean, they were the TI4 champs for a reason, and then you add somebody who is one of the best mechanically skilled players, I think, in the off lane, next to somebody like Universe, and it's very, very difficult to play against that team. So,
Charlie, you still with us? I'm seeing a little buffering icon on your webcam here, dude. Are you all right over there? HyperX webcam not falling through for you? All right. Well, Charlie's still in the mix of trying to get connected. Maybe he's switching over his audio source, so we'll try to get him back into it. But we'll. Press on. I'm hearing something now. Hello. Hi. Welcome back, buddy. How you doing? Yeah, can't hear you either.
No,
all right. Good stuff. So
I don't even see him at this point.
Charlie,
now there you go. Yeah,
audio problem, Yang. Hello. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know.
All right. I mean, I don't know if you heard what we were saying. We were talking a bit about more of the Chinese teams coming up, but I was going to ask your opinion. Any team that EG might need to look out for? Something that, going into WEC, was there a team that you wanted to prepare a little bit extra for?
We actually all thought LGD was going to be really good, really strong. If you looked at all their players, all the players that over there, we thought that they got they probably got the better end than else. So probably LGD, maybe newbie. I think those are probably going to be the big 2 teams.
Big 2 teams. All right, we'll see. We still have other teams like VG that are still trying to get used to having Black and Ice, and we don't know how their communication problems technically are, but we'll see as time progresses and they get more time working together. Jumping up into the next big event, the big one we already talked about a couple of times, ESL 1 in New York, Madison Square Garden Theater. We're on the Chinese qualifiers right now. It's 8 Chinese teams that are competing to get into the last land final spot. They're split into 4 double elimination brackets. Group A is going to be having New Element, Tongfu, IG, and LGD. Group B has VG, Newbie, LGD CDEC, and Hyper Glory Team. The top 2 from each bracket are going to go into a whole other bracket and do a whole nother final. And then finally, we're going to find out which team is going to be moving into ESL 1. So it's nice to see that they're going to have a little bit of love from all over for this tournament. But of all the teams that are going to be participating, there is one team that our very own Greg, Mr. Mr. Gerg is excited for. I'll just let you explain. Greg, come on. What is the deal with this team that's making their way slowly into ESL 1?
The Gerg squad, they're playing this weekend. ESL 1 America qualifiers, and I'm looking forward to it. So this team started as kind of a joke. They were playing in the Canada Cup qualifiers, and then they made some roster adjustments, and well, now they're I guess a real team. God, this Skype chat. Oh God. So Charlie's having some technical issues, but they're playing this weekend in ESL 1 qualifiers, and under the Team Gerg. Charlie,
you are having some issues, man. Get it together, dude.
Guy who's a fantastic team manager. Don't have him manage your cable audio setup or
dude, what kind of internet you have there?
Oh, he's gone.
Some very R-rated stuff on the chat. Hopefully we can lasso him back into this one. I'm sure he was excited to leave his meeting for this. But so yeah, Gerg squad thrown together a few team players that are like kind of, we forgot about, but
sorry, see a second.
Anyways, they're quickly becoming something to actually look out for. We've been impressed as they make their way through. They're not. I don't believe they secured a spot in the LAN just yet, but they're just like a step away. And then Greg's face could potentially be over the shirts of all these players, and then it's going to be quite the interesting situation, I would imagine.
All right, I'm good to go. Yeah, so we can elaborate now. So if they make it into ESL 1, I have to buy them jerseys, and those jerseys are going to have the KOTLGuy face. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. We're gonna have Gergman, Gerg Dago, Gerg Diz, Gerg SS, and I don't know. Bleach's name doesn't really work, so I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. I've been just like, I'm not really like, they're not like sponsored. I'm not really like their manager. They're just, Well,
let me ask you a question. How are they going to feel about those name changes?
I don't know, man. Betas came up with them, so I'm assuming that they're all A-okay.
You're assuming a lot. This is betas we're talking about here.
Oh, God. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to actually just watching them play. I mean, it's all, like, if you look at the players, Dakota kind of mentioned this, but it's a bunch of players who kind of have all...
Dude, can you not? You're just not.
God damn it, Charlie.
Like...
Is this one for webcam?
You sound fantastic right now, by the way.
Yeah, you sound great.
I know. I don't know what it is. My laptop is really stupid, but it's it was the closest webcam access I had, right next to me, and so no, I'm using my office computer now and the headset on that.
Doesn't have a webcam though, does it?
No, it doesn't have a webcam. That's why.
You know what though? I'd rather stare at this white-figured blue icon and have your audio coming clear than the hot mess that we had
like
before,
ass.
So.
I hope you all die.
Well,
I mean, you look like you had a long day. You sounded like you were talking through a potato. I mean, we'll make this work.
It's been like a long 7 months.
We're just here to casually talk about some Dota. We don't want to overwork you too much. But have you heard it all? Now that we got you back and you sound great.
All right, we're talking about Team Gerg.
Team Gerg. Have you heard about this team? Are you threatened? Are you gonna?
Gerg
are you
Dago,
shaking in your
Gergman,
boots?
Gerg Diz.
EG's gonna play.
Gerg SS. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, that team's fucking awful.
Yo, if you play my God damn it.
Oh, there it is.
I mean, I don't know what else you were expecting.
Whoa! No, he got him right there. Okay, so no respect from Charlie, manager of EG, on your Gerg team there, Greg.
2 of your former players on that team, by the way. So just throwing that out there, and you're just going to call them awful like that. You have absolutely no loyalty. Disgusting. God damn it.
Yeah, they know how I feel.
Well,
so we'll see. They're playing SNA this weekend, and well, I'm hoping for the best. And if I get to see 5 players walking to ESL with my face on the front.
I actually really hope I get to see that. Real talk, I really hope they do well, and if anything, I want to see them at the event, and I really want to see your fucking face on their shirts.
Oh my God.
You can get, put those up for sale. You can get one that says Gurglith instead of Monolith.
Yes. Can you make me a jersey that says Gurglith? Please. Please.
Perfect. You're not, would you wear that?
I'll even pay for it. Yes. I'll wear it. I'll instead of the suit that I usually wear, I
Wear
won't
that
wear
shirt.
I'll
You
wear
won't
that
even
shirt.
shell out for the emoticon. Look at the Gerg icon.
Wait, you have a? I didn't even.
Dude, look at
I'll
chat.
do it. I'll do it right now. I will
It's
buy this.
KOTLGuy.
Right.
Look at
KOTLGuy.
everyone.
This right
Everyone,
now.
throw up the KOTLGurgs right now. There we
Go
go.
for Gergs, boys.
I'll do
so
it right
good.
now.
This is happening.
All right.
So,
While
all
we
right,
check
moving forward though,
out-
ESL 1, I'm looking forward to this event in general. What I'm not looking forward to, I just took a look at the hotel prices. Holy shit, what's wrong with New York City? It's like $400 a night. That's fun.
What's wrong with New York City? It's fucking New York City, Greg. That's the problem. Luckily for me, I don't live that far. But for people trying to, I mean, in the Madison Square Garden Theater, it's like right in Times Square neighborhood. You know, it's going to be right in Midtown. So people are going to have to travel. They may want to consider looking somewhere in like Long Island City or something and take the train in, or, you know, that's going to be a whole new endeavor. But I would imagine it's still going to be well worth the trip to see.
Yeah, I think it'll be
the
fun.
first
I
event
mean,
in New York City, that's crazy.
exactly. Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
All right. Next up, as far as events and tournaments go, we got what was recently announced on Reddit by AC himself, the NVIDIA Game 24 Invitational. It's a single elimination bracket, just 4 teams, and all matches are a best of 5. It's all online. It's for $15,000, and it's just over 2 days, 18th and 19th.
Before you continue with the information about that tournament, I'm just gonna say it's probably gonna change.
It's probably going to change. Now, this was a tournament, are you saying because this is something that was a part of like a 24-hour game-a-thon that NVIDIA's putting on? They're like plugging in hours at weird times. Is that what you're saying? Like the times will change?
Like the teams, like what's? Give me some more information. The time, the structure.
The times. The times, maybe the structure. We'll see. Because obviously it's at difficult times, so probably going to change.
Yeah, a lot of the people just reading over the information as spectators also agreed that the timings seemed a bit odd, and so it's definitely something to look out for to see if they change. Like I said, the reasoning is they're doing some sort of special NVIDIA 24-hour event. They're just kind of plugging in the games as they go, but they're at like crazy hours. For some people, they're at like 2 in the morning and then like midday. But do you think just how quick and fast it is? I mean, that's got to be something nice, right? It just happens over 1 or 2 day period. You just knock out a couple of best of 5s, and next thing you know, you could be walking away with a couple of $1,000s. That's got to be nice, right, Charlie?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I think the prize pool is pretty big considering how long it is, how many games they have to play. So, and that was the big reason we did it. It's good stuff. You should tune in.
Yes, get there and watch that funness. The Dota is a good thing. So, something to look out for. That is going to be casted by AC and Trouf, and I believe it's on a different page as far as streaming. I had it up on my notes right here. I'll see if I can find it. We'll get it up later. But yeah, moving on from that. Hold on here. From my
Roster
laptop.
changes.
We can get on to some roster changes. That's right. We're done with tournament talk, and we don't have a whole lot of roster change talk. Pretty much just Alliance. It's now official. S4 and EGM are officially out. They haven't really officially announced their replacements, though they have been subbing in Misery and Chessie quite a bit. And their team has had some pretty hot and cold performances. They're sporting like a 2-4 record here in, I believe, I want to say not ESL 1. I have it right here. Currently sporting a 4-2 record in Star Ladder and a 2-6 record in D2CL. And of course, right now they're battling their way through the ESL 1 qualifier. They've been pretty good. I don't know if you guys got to see. They had a pretty interesting game recently going against Moscow 5. They beat them 2-0, but at the end there, it was almost down to an interesting base race where Loda managed to pull it out playing Naga, but the Void there at the end trying to go at the throne with his little Nerf bat, but it wasn't quite enough. Did you guys get to see that game, Maut, at all?
I saw that GIF. I saw the GIF of the Void like hitting the thing over and over again. That was about it.
It was some good stuff. But Alliance, you know, they're trying to sweat their way through and make their way in. Charlie, this new Alliance squad, do you think are they ever going to reach what they were once during their TI3 heyday? Do you think they still have a time period where they're going to have to work out the rust with Chessie in?
Well, I think that time period of them working out their rust is now. That's what they're doing. I think they still have a lot of there's still a lot of talent on that team. It's just a matter of making it work. Will I ever think that they'll be what they were before? Honestly, probably not. I think winning 2 TIs, getting back to that is incredibly difficult for any team, not just Alliance. But I think they do have a lot of potential to get back on top of the scene. I mean, you look at their players; they're all incredibly talented individually. We tried out Chessie for a reason. Loda has so much experience. Bulldog is a monster. Misery plays very well. I mean, you saw his Bane at TI. So I think there's a lot of talent here. It's just a matter of finding the chemistry to make it work, finding the play style that makes it work. And I think in terms of performances for all these teams coming up, I think the big test is going to be what happens in the next patch, and if the metagame during 6.8.2? 8.2 favors their playstyle.
So this isn't really something we're planning on talking about, but 6.82. Do you have any thoughts about, you obviously watch a shitload of Dota, and do you have any thoughts about, any hopes, I guess, for 6.82? Anything you want to see happen?
Do I want to see happen?
Or are you tired of seeing...
If 6.82 was your dream patch, what would change?
Take techies out.
I would take techies out. Yes. That's obviously not going to happen. Shit like Phoenix needs to be rebalanced. That hero is really stupid. Let's see. I would like to see the return of sort of more dynamic mid heroes. Pugs, Quaps, heroes that do shit, force action around the map. I guess it's a little counterintuitive, or not counterintuitive, but self-destructive, because it's not exactly what our tour plays right now. But it's always, just from a spectator viewpoint, it's always more interesting.
A little more fun to watch.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of heroes you like to play in pubs too. So, Quap, Storm, free game.
All right. Respectable as it is. We're getting close to time here, and it wouldn't be right if we didn't at least mention it once, gentlemen. We're talking about 6.82, but we did get a patch just recently, and it brought us techies now. We talked about everything about the patch and what was to expect last week, but since then, they've actually been put into the game, and we've had the unfortunate or fortunate experience of having them in pretty much most of our pubs and ranked games. Now, I guess it would be just safe if we went through everyone here and gave your personal opinion on it. Mott, you already seem pretty displeased with the hero, wanting him out of the game. What's the deal? Why you have so much hate towards techies?
That hero at best is a hero that does very little if you're good with him, but you can still surprise the opposing team and get kills. It feels like he doesn't really contribute much, like in terms of if you're like defending a tower, trying to, pick somebody off, trying to gank. He just sits around, he plants mines. If you're lucky, maybe he gets a good suicide going. He can't really react, I feel like. And 90% of the time, the people that pick that hero are just like, I'm just going to stack mines in this one little area that no one's ever going to walk over. And I'm just like, I'm going to lose it.
I have to say, I don't think support techies is very good, but mid techies seems
a mid hero.
Yeah, mid techies seems pretty good. Everyone in pubs I've been seeing is like mostly playing like support, and that seems really shit. I think mid techies is like not terrible, because then you can actually like get a Yules. Stasis Trap is really fucking good with the Yules. I don't mind the hero. I've had pretty good experiences. I played like 3 or 4 games with Blitz, and he played techies every game, and we won every single game. And I played with Shane, and we won. And the only time I played against it, he got fucking stomped. So I don't know. That was support techies though. But I don't know.
I agree with that.
I don't think he's like as bad as everyone thinks, but he's certainly extremely situational. But I think he's actually okay if you have a team that's like super like dirtily. Like I played Spectre, and they can't really push into the high ground that easily because of mines. Obviously, they still can with like sentries and gems and stuff, but it's certainly a lot harder. And I just like farmed for like 35 minutes, and then the game was just over because you can't beat a Spectre after 40 minutes. So I don't know. I don't mind the hero as much as everyone else fucking hates it, for sure.
I want more proactive.
Yeah, I am not a fan of like the support techies where you like just go around, plant mines down, hope to God that they don't have sentries and run over it. I think
I've
that's real
seen so
shit.
many times where my techies is like sitting there and he put like, 8 mines in the side shop, hoping that someone just takes the path that everyone knows is going to be mined.
Yeah.
And now he just has nothing to work with, and he's sitting there picking his own ass, and I'm pissed, So I like the ones
I don't think that's good.
Waga plays a great techies mid. You've seen a lot of these players who are more core. W33, I watched his stream, and he plays a great techies mid as well, using the Euls, utilizing it, and then on the other side of the thing, it creates a lot of fun. I mean, I get to see all these new videos of techies and the way they've held out games with minefields in their bases, getting good redemption kills with some clever spots on having the remote mines. It's, I don't know. It's like the good comes with the bad, I guess, with this hero. But, Charlie, I know you also don't have a lot of pleasure with the hero. Do you think it'd be better if they had like one of those new modes like all draft where each person gets one ban and then they can pick their heroes, or for now, are you just kind of gritting your teeth and hope that, techies will just kind of go off the wayside eventually?
I mean, to be honest, I played like 2 matchmaking games since Techie was released, and he wasn't in any of my games. To be fair, I actually don't think I think he's traditionally been good mid, or when I say good, I mean like good in pubs, I guess, or like able to do shit. Like this was back in Dota 1. But I don't know if mid really suits him anymore either. Maybe as an offlane hero now, but he's definitely a hero that needs farm and levels. But I think a well-played techies can still do things. Just for me personally, like playing against it, the reason I don't like it is because it's just really fucking annoying.
He is very annoying to play against.
One of the heroes that can really prolong a game, really, really long, just good at stopping.
That's the one thing I actually really like. Is like just pick him with a super hard carry and a couple decent supports, and you can pretty easily just prolong a game out, get really a good farm. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a couple of heroes with him, and I think that work really well. Spectre is definitely one of them.
All right, and that's going to reach the end as far as news that's been happening for Dota this week. Before we wrap up the show here, we do have to make it a little shorter than we normally do because we got Canada Cup action to go into right after this. Gentlemen, as far as Maut and Greg, have you had a moment to look over some more of the questions, maybe from the public, anything specifically for us or for Mr. Yang here while we have him in the house?
I have a question for Charlie. So,
all right.
This is sort of also related to some drama that we didn't really talk about too much, but there's this whole Wagamama VLOT thing, and VLOT and Starladder basically a long time ago said that there was a Starladder and they would pay for like part of the travel costs, and they didn't. Is essentially what it came down to. And Waga said some mean things. I was just curious, in sort of higher level tournaments, do you think that this is like a problem, like not paying out or not agreeing to stipulations that they agreed to earlier, or not following through, basically? Like, personally, you don't have to name any names unless you want to like go ham, but have you had any problems with this? Do you think it's a big problem? What's your opinion on that sort of thing?
I've never had problem. Okay, that's not true. For the most part, the only time that a tournament's never paid out for one of my teams has been Natalic.
If anyone forgot about that.
Other than that, personally, for my teams, other than that, everything has been paid out. The Starladder stuff, we have the forms for that. A lot of that was just, as people have said before, waiting on the ticket sales. So most tournaments are still well within their timeline to pay out. I haven't had any issues with that. The one tournament that we did play in that we didn't have any issues with because I bugged the fuck out of the admin, but other people did, was Pro Dota 2 when Pot and Bottom won, and they got paid, but a bunch of other teams didn't. So I guess there was a problem with that, but personally, I think everything has been paid out.
So and this was all stuff that...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is stuff that's happened in the past. I believe you guys were saying this is like Star Ladder 4. This all went down.
Yeah, no. What Waga was talking about was a long time ago. I don't remember exactly which Star Ladder was, but it was like 3, 4, like it was a long time ago.
So, pretty much this isn't something that's been happening as of recent,
Well, I mean, it still happens though. Like
I think there's still problems with.
Yeah. So sort of continuing what you were talking about.
There's still problems with tournaments, and there's still problems with how certain things are done, things are organized. But for the most part, it's not usually malicious. It's just oversight, incompetence, didn't think of it, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think incompetence and didn't think of it are big two that I would put more on. So.
I mean, people always ask, how do you get into esports or whatever, and the funny thing is that it's probably the easiest time it's probably easier now than it's ever been to get into esports, and it's only going to get harder as time passes because there's so many people now that are probably not qualified to do the jobs that they do. If you do a good job, you probably just take it. Like there's not a structure, or there's not as much structure as there's going to be in the future.
It's so youthful right now. You might jump on and take advantage of what you can. How many people are going to be able to know as a whole and learn all those heroes and everything? So this is your opportunity to get in while it's still young and fresh, before it becomes huge in mainstream and everyone kind of knows, and then everyone wants to get a piece of the pie. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. And then shameless sellout plug. There is an article on Fountain Dive right now that I wrote talking about. All right, whatever. You work for EG, dude. Talking about sort of getting into esports and getting into casting, and like you guys said, I think now is pretty much as good as it gets. It's pretty easy, not too bad, and really it just comes down to you just have to just stop asking people to esports and just do something. And if you're good at it and you're smart, then usually you'll get paid sooner rather than later.
That's how I think everybody got into it. There was for me at least, it was just kind of like just start casting. It's that simple. Eventually, if you work hard enough at it, it'll hopefully pay off for you. So I think for the most part, and that's not going to be the case anymore as we move on. More people are going to start requiring actual training, I think, and maybe there will be fewer positions. It's starting to get really competitive, and for the future, I think it's exciting, but it's also cutthroat to a certain extent. So.
All right, and with that said, I know things are starting to come a little bit fuzzy here as we begin our slow transition out from the podcast and into some real casting over at the Canada Cup. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. This was episode number 3 of True Sight, the Dota podcast, being presented to you by FountainDive.com and us over on HighGround.tv. I want to go ahead and thank my 2 trusty comrades, Travis Maut and Mr. Greg WhatIsHip TV, the original Gerg, and our special guest earlier, Peter PPD, for coming in and hanging out with us, and of course, Mr. Charlie Lang. Thanks again, man, for coming on. Any last minute shout out for you? I gave Peter the opportunity. Did you want to say anything before we let you go?
Shout out to, I guess, my team, organization, shout out to Conrad, and shout out to Tralf, who had a really good blog post he put up today. It's on his Twitter. It's probably on mine. I know it's on Conrad's. It's really insightful, really smart. I think, yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, make sure to go check that out. Tralf, I believe his Twitter is TralfDota.
It's TralfDota.tumblr.com.
Yeah, so I don't know. Somebody put his stuff in chat. It's really good. It's a really smart read. I don't read a lot of things like that often. So yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to the Gerg squad. It's the best team ever, actually.
Best of luck for the Gerg squad, boys. I'm rooting for them this weekend, obviously. So.
And we'll hope for the best for them. And for everyone else, thanks for coming by and watching. Make sure, if you haven't already, just hit the follow button right there. We should be back again next week with another True Sight podcast coming your way. If you want to hang out and watch some more Dota, go check us out right now over on twitch.tv/Dota2 Canada Cup. And you can see some Canada Cup action and some of the best up-and-coming North American and South American teams fighting their way for $4,000 of that Canada Cup prize money. With that said, folks, we're going to let you go. Also, thanks to Sam for being our producer today and everyone else involved. We'll take care and see you on the next one. All right, folks?